My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes you reach a point in life where you don't even know what to ask for anymore. You don't want money. You don't want people. You don't even want answers. You just want peace. You want your heart to stop shaking. You want to stop feeling like something is wrong with you because you can't feel anything from Allah anymore. Have you ever sat in your room, lights off, tears falling quietly, not even sure why you're crying? And all you could whisper was, Ya Allah, where are you? You've prayed. You've made dua. You've begged. But the only thing you've received is silence. And that silence feels heavier than the pain itself. You start to wonder, did I do something wrong? Is Allah upset with me? Has He stopped listening? But today, I want you to breathe. And I want you to know this. Silence from Allah is not the same as absence from Allah. He has not turned away from you. He has not stopped loving you. He has not forgotten about your tears. Sometimes Allah is the most present in your life when everything feels empty, because that emptiness isn't a punishment. It's an invitation. It's Allah calling you deeper. You see, not every conversation with Allah needs to be loud. Not every sign needs to be big. Not every answer needs to come with a miracle. Sometimes the most powerful guidance from Allah is completely silent, but completely precise. Look around. Really look. The things that didn't work out, the people who left, the opportunities that vanished, the doors that refused to open. You thought you were being ignored, but you were actually being protected. Allah's silence is not Him closing His ears. It's Him opening your heart. Because when He's quiet, He's preparing. When He's still, He's setting the scene. When He removes things from your life, He's making space for better. And all of that happens without a single word. Think of a mother watching her child walk for the first time. She stays quiet. She doesn't shout instructions, but her eyes are on that child the entire time. She lets the child wobble because falling is part of walking. And when the child falls, she doesn't say, "Why did you fall?" She smiles because she knows he's getting stronger. This is how Allah watches over you. Not always with loud direction, but always with gentle mercy. Just because you can't hear Him doesn't mean He's not guiding you. Just because your dua feels unanswered doesn't mean He didn't hear you. And just because your heart feels heavy doesn't mean it's broken. Sometimes it's growing quietly, softly, secretly. Have you noticed how seeds grow? They don't make a sound. They don't announce their progress. But under the soil, in the dark, unseen to the world, they break, they split, they change shape. And only when Allah wills, they rise through the soil into the light. That's your soul right now. Buried, but alive. Breaking, but healing. Changing without noise. You don't see it, but Allah does. And He's guiding every step of it. So the next time you sit in silence, the next time your heart aches in the middle of the night, the next time you wonder, why is everything so quiet? Remember this. The silence you feel is not Allah's anger. It's His softness. He's holding you, not with hands, but with His plan. He's guiding you, not with sound, but with wisdom. And He's loving you, not just for who you are, but for who He knows you're becoming. So don't give up when things feel quiet. Don't give up when your heart feels numb. Don't give up when your dua feels dry. Because this season of silence might be the season Allah rewrites your entire life. And when the time is right, you'll look back and realize that what felt like a pause was actually a divine preparation. Allah doesn't speak to destroy. He speaks to heal. And sometimes the most healing thing He can give you is a quiet space to come back to Him. So even if your ears hear nothing and your heart hears nothing, let your soul trust everything, because Allah has not left you. Even in silence, He is guiding everything. The closed door was a mercy, not a rejection. There are moments in life when you try everything and still the door doesn't open. You pray, you fast, you make dua in sujood with tears so pure, only Allah saw them, and still silence. You thought maybe this was your time, maybe this was the blessing, maybe finally Allah would say yes. But instead, the door closed. And not just softly, it slammed. Firm, final. Like a part of your story was suddenly ripped out of your hands. And your heart didn't know what to do with it. Because how could something you wanted so much, something you begged Allah for, just vanish? You assumed, maybe Allah is upset with me. Maybe I'm being punished. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe that blessing wasn't written for me because something in me is flawed. But today I want you to see it differently. Not with the eyes of pain, but with the eyes of faith. You see, when Allah closes a door, He doesn't do it out of cruelty. He does it out of protection. Not every no is rejection. Sometimes it's divine mercy in disguise. What if I told you that if Allah opened that door, it would have cost you your peace, your heart, maybe even your iman? What if I told you that Allah blocked it? Because what looked like a blessing was actually a slow storm that would have broken you in ways you'd never recover from. But you couldn't see that. All you saw was loss. All you felt was silence. And silence hurts. But not all pain is harm. Some pain is surgery. Some silence is shielding. Some delays are not denials, they are divine detours. Away from what you thought you wanted and toward what your soul actually needs. Sometimes the person you wanted to marry was never meant to walk into your destiny. Sometimes the job you dreamed of would have taken you away from your deen. Sometimes that opportunity was never yours. To begin with, it was just a passing illusion to teach you trust. But you don't see that at the time. Because the pain of the no drowns everything. It's heavy. It's loud. But here's the mercy. A door closing is never the end. It's a redirection. It's Allah whispering, you are about to go the wrong way. Let me guide you back. It's Him saying, I love you too much to let you settle for something beneath your worth. You thought it was rejection, but Allah was just rearranging your path. He saw things you didn't. He heard conversations behind your back. He read intentions you couldn't see. He watched hearts you were blind to. And He said, not this one, not this place, not this time. Because He knows what would have happened if that door had opened. You would have smiled for a while, then cried endlessly. You would have praised the blessing, then been buried by the burden. And so Allah, in His infinite love for you, closed it quietly, without drama, without explanation, without warning. And that silence was Him saying, trust me. You see, we often think Allah only shows love by giving us what we want. But sometimes His greatest love is in withholding, like a mother who pulls her child away from fire. The child cries, screams, throws a tantrum because he thinks she's taking something good away. But she knows she sees the danger and her love won't let her stay quiet. That's how Allah saves you from doors that look golden but are lined with heartbreak. From people who seem sweet but carry poison in their presence. From plans that seem perfect but would have pulled you off your purpose. You don't always get to see what He saved you from, but He does. And He never closes a door without preparing a better one behind it. The hard part, you have to walk in faith through a hallway with no signs, no sounds, and no answers. That's where tawakkul is born. Not in knowing the plan, but in trusting the one who wrote it. So, my beloved brother, my beloved sister, if a door in your life has recently closed, a dream ended, a friendship broke, a marriage proposal dissolved, a visa denied, a prayer unanswered, don't fall into despair. Don't think you've been forgotten. You haven't been rejected. You've been redirected. You've been loved in a way you didn't ask for, but you desperately needed. And when Allah finally opens the right door, you look back at that closed one and say, Alhamdulillah, it didn't work out. Because what He replaced it with will be so peaceful, so clean, so divinely tailored. You'll understand why He didn't explain before. He wanted your trust, not your understanding. And one day soon, you'll look back at this painful moment and realize it wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of your protection. And even though Allah never said a word, He guided everything. Your gut feeling was never just you. My beloved brothers and sisters, have you ever felt it? That quiet discomfort inside you when something looks good on the outside, but deep down, your heart just doesn't feel settled? You try to ignore it. You try to convince yourself, this must be shaitan. I'm overthinking. I shouldn't feel like this. But still, that unease doesn't go away. You sit across from someone who treats you kindly, and yet your chest feels tight. You're offered an amazing job, but something in you whispers, this isn't the path. You pray istikhara, and instead of a clear sign, you just feel cloudy, confused, tired, pulled in different directions. And so you ask yourself, how do I know if this feeling is from Allah or just me? Let me tell you something tonight. Something you may not have heard before. Not all guidance comes through dreams. Not all warnings arrive with thunder. Not all signs come written on walls. Sometimes Allah speaks to you through discomfort, through that tightness in your chest, through the slight hesitation in your step, through the pause in your spirit when everything else is rushing forward. And that's not paranoia. That's not just anxiety. That could be divine protection. You see, Allah created your soul with something beautiful, something pure, something deeply connected to Him. It's called fitra. It's the natural light inside of you, the moral compass, the silent alarm, the sacred instinct that pulls you toward what's good and pulls you away from what looks tempting but isn't safe. And when you ignore it too long, you will feel it break. That sinking feeling in your stomach, that ache in your chest, that blurry sense that something's wrong. That's your soul trying to speak. That's Allah gently warning you without raising His voice, because He loves you. And sometimes when you're too distracted to hear signs around you, He sends them through you. But the world has trained you to distrust yourself. You're told, don't feel too much. Don't be dramatic. You're just being sensitive. But sensitivity is not a weakness. It's a gift. And when it's tied to faith, it becomes a shield. Some of the most dangerous things you've ever avoided weren't because you had all the answers. It was because your gut screamed no, even when your mind whispered maybe. And do you know where that gut lives? It lives in your qalb, your heart. And Allah says in the Quran, it is not the eyes that are blind, but the hearts within the chests that are blind. Surah Al-Ajj 22:46. Your heart can see what your eyes can't. It knows, it feels, it senses, but it only works properly when it's soft, when it's connected to Allah, when it's not drowned in sin or arrogance or ego. That's why the Prophet ﷺ used to say in Dua lahu, O turner of hearts, keep my heart firm upon your religion. Because the heart moves, it tilts, it changes, it reacts, it whispers. And if you listen carefully, you realize that many of the regrets in your life came from ignoring what your heart already knew. You stayed in places that felt wrong. You trusted people who drained your peace. You chased opportunities that left you empty. And deep down, you knew. Your fitra told you. But the noise of the world drowned it out. So tonight, come back to your center. Come back to your soul. Start trusting what Allah built inside of you. Not recklessly, not with arrogance, but with tawakkul, with trust that Allah can guide you even when no one else understands you. You might not get confirmation from others. You might not see a dream. You might not hear a clear answer in dua, but you feel something. And sometimes that feeling is Him. He's saving you from a mistake. He's turning your heart away from something that was never yours. He's placing a block not to punish you, but to protect your future. You don't always need to explain your discomfort. You just need to honor it. Because Allah doesn't just guide your eyes. He guides your heart. He guides your gut. He guides your soul. But only if you listen. And remember, guidance doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like fear. Sometimes it feels like your whole body is saying, don't go down this road. And when that happens, pause. Listen, Allah might be speaking to you without saying a word. And one day, when the storm passes, you'll look back and say, Subhanallah, my heart knew what my mind couldn't explain. That was Allah. That was His mercy. And even though it came through a feeling, it was guidance, pure, silent, real. Because even when there's no sign on the wall, Allah still writes signs inside of you. When you're alone, you're not unseen. My beloved brothers and sisters, there are times in life where it feels like everyone has moved on but you. Your phone is quiet. The house is quiet. Your heart is noisy. But no one seems to notice. People used to ask about you. Now they don't. They used to include you. Now they've forgotten. You used to matter, but lately you wonder if you ever really did. And it hurts. Not because you want attention, not because you want the spotlight, but because you just want to feel seen, heard, held. But instead, you're alone, in your car, parked in silence, at the dinner table, pretending to smile, in your room, holding back tears at 2 a.m. so no one hears you break. And in those moments, Shaitan whispers, you don't matter. No one sees you. Even Allah has left you. But tonight I want to stop that lie at its root. I want to say something softly to your tired heart. You are not unseen. You are not forgotten. And you are never alone. Even when the world turns its back, Allah turns His face towards you. Even when your friends disappear, the angels write every tear you cry. Even when your family doesn't understand, Allah knows the conversation you're having inside your chest. And even when you don't say a word, He hears what your heart doesn't know how to express. You see, isolation isn't always a punishment. Sometimes it's a sacred meeting, a quiet place where Allah removes every distraction so He can speak to your soul without interruption. And yes, it feels heavy. Yes, it feels like something is wrong. But what if I told you your loneliness is not a sign that you've been pushed away? It's a sign that you're being pulled closer. When Allah loves you, He sometimes removes you from the noise of the world so He can teach you the value of His voice. He takes you away from people who keep your mind busy but leave your soul empty. He shuts doors you thought were lifelines just to show you He is your only lifeline, because He knows there are things He wants to give you that cannot be delivered in a crowd. There are versions of you that cannot be born while you're constantly performing for people. And so, He isolates you. But isolation from the world is not isolation from Allah. In fact, that's when you hear Him clearest. When the invitations stop, when the messages stop, when the doors stop opening, that's when the heart starts listening. Because when you're left alone, you finally begin to speak honestly. You stop sugarcoating your dua. You stop pretending you're okay. You stop rushing your sujood. And you start saying things like, Ya Allah, I don't know what's happening. Ya Allah, I feel broken. Ya Allah, please don't leave me. And in that moment, you realize something powerful. This loneliness led to your most sincere conversations with your Creator. And suddenly, you're not alone. You are held, carried, not by people, but by the one who never leaves. So if you're in a lonely season right now, don't rush to escape it. Don't fill it with noise. Don't distract yourself from the silence. Because somewhere in that silence, Allah is working. Somewhere in that stillness, He's healing you. And somewhere in that isolation, He is teaching you the value of being known by Him. You may not be included in their plans, but you are always included in Allah's mercy. You may not be seen in their gatherings, but you are seen in every sujood. You may not be celebrated by this world, but the angels know your name. And Allah has counted every heartbreak, every sacrifice, every moment you chose Him over comfort. He knows. So don't let your loneliness turn into despair. Let it turn into prayer. Let your empty room become a sanctuary. Let your pillow be where you rest your soul with Allah. Let your tears be a secret language between you and the one who never grows tired of listening. Because some of the strongest believers were built in solitude, not with fame, not with crowds, but with sincerity. Even the Prophet ﷺ had to be isolated in the cave of Hira. before the first words of revelation were sent to him. Alone, but chosen. Silent, but seen. So if you are alone today, it might be because Allah is preparing a message just for you. And that preparation needs no witnesses. Because the rise He is preparing for you is one. They won't be able to deny when it finally arrives. And until that moment comes, even when no one checks in, even when no one calls, even when you feel invisible, please remember, you are never unseen and you are never alone, because Allah has never stopped watching over you. Not for a moment, not for a breath, not even for a heartbeat. Even in silence, He is guiding everything. The delay was a wall of mercy. My beloved brothers and sisters, there's a special kind of pain that doesn't come from failure or heartbreak or loss. It comes from waiting. You try to stay strong. You try to be patient. You keep saying, Insha'Allah, with a smile on your face. But deep down, your heart is exhausted. You prayed. You fasted. You gave charity. You begged Allah in sujood again and again. But nothing changed. And you start wondering, why is Allah not answering me? Why is this taking so long? Why am I stuck in the same chapter? While others seem to move ahead so easily, you see, delay doesn't always feel like a test. Sometimes it feels like silence, and that silence can feel like rejection. But today, I want to remind your heart with love that delay is not rejection. Sometimes delay is protection, and that delay is actually a wall of mercy that Allah has placed between you and something you don't see. Because Allah is never late and He is never wrong. When He delays something, it's not because He's forgotten you. It's because He loves you too much to give you something that might harm you just because you wanted it quickly. We live in a world of instant answers, fast results, quick rewards. But Allah is not like the world. He gives at the perfect time, not the fastest time. And sometimes the faster it arrives, the faster it breaks you. So He slows it down. He puts up a wall. And you feel like He's blocking your dream, when in reality, He's building something behind that wall that's bigger than your dream. You just can't see it yet. Have you ever looked back at something you once cried for and thanked Allah it didn't happen? That job you didn't get, that person you didn't marry, that plan that didn't work. At the time, it felt like devastation. Now, you see, it was divine protection. That's how Allah works. He sees the cracks in what you think is perfect. He sees the storm behind what looks calm. He sees what's ahead, and you only see what's in front. So when He delays, He's not being distant. He's being deliberate. He's not ignoring your dua. He's preparing your soul to receive it properly. Because what's the point of getting what you want? If you're not ready to hold it, what's the point of reaching your dream? If your character can't carry it with humility, sometimes you're not waiting for the blessing to be ready. The blessing is waiting for you to be ready. And that readiness takes time. You need to be purified. You need to be refined. You need to be emptied of what's not meant to go with you into that next chapter. You don't go into a palace wearing the clothes you wore in the storm. So Allah delays, not to punish you, but to dress you for the place you're about to enter. And yes, the waiting is hard. It tests your patience, your belief, your sincerity, because it's easy to have faith when the doors open fast. But it's real tawakkul, real trust, when the door stays closed and you still keep knocking with a soft heart. When you still say, Ya Allah, I trust your timing more than I trust my desire. That's when Allah writes your name next to the patient ones, the ones He loves, the ones He elevates. You see, in every delay, Allah is removing something harmful from your path that you didn't even know existed. And in every delay, He's adding a layer of strength to your soul.